We have a jam-packed Browns Film Breakdown podcast here that has plenty of information to cover heading into Week 16. The Browns injury list is long. It's growing. It's like a Christmas list your kid is giving to Santa Claus this year, and it's only going to get longer over the course of the last 2 weeks of the season. So we go through all of that. We go through the Bills' names that matter on that list as well. We're going to talk a little bit about the Devin Bush situation. There was an update on that from the legal standpoint that he dealt with before the year. And then we are going to spend a little bit of time on the quarterback market and what's going on with Tua Tagovailoa, what's going on potentially with the Browns and an interest in any of those veterans that we talk about, and then kind of how Tua's money situation, which is lingering for Miami, plays into sort of side-eyeing what the Browns are doing with Deshaun Watson. It's a very busy show, and we are brought to you by FanDuel, which we want to talk about a couple things real quick. The Browns are getting 10.5 at home in this game. Brad, how do you feel about 10.5? Too much? Not enough? Where do you stand on that midweek?
Not enough.
Not enough. You heard it from Brad. Needs more points. Maybe that'll be a part of your parlay of the week with FanDuel this week.
Maybe.
That's a 10.5. Maybe it grows to get some more action. I'm not sure, but 10.5 is where it sits. And I hope you took Myles Garrett early in the year because right now he is minus 20,000 to win the award. The next closest are three guys at 50-1, Nick Bonito, Will Anderson, two guys, and then Danielle Hunter's at 75-1. It is basically over. It would be an unbelievable upset if it didn't happen. And then our guy Carson Schlesinger still minus 360 out in front. Nick Omanawari's charging late, but you still feel pretty good about his number. If you get those on FanDuel, the Schlesinger one, you want to make some money back. I think that's in a good spot. Myles Garrett, it's too late on that one, folks. Hopefully you took it earlier, but that feels like a lock. We wanted to update you on those things and say that we are very appreciative of what FanDuel does for this podcast, sponsoring us and giving us great opportunity to engage with you guys on that content around the Cleveland Browns. So thanks to them. And a thank you to Monfredi Dental, the dental office just south of Hilliard here in Columbus. You cannot find better dental service across the greater Columbus area. Find them. You won't regret it. All right. Let's get going with your Thursday edition of Browns Film Breakdown podcast right now. What's up, guys? Welcome in. It's Thursday, December 18th, and we have Browns Bills on the horizon, which we're going to talk about quite extensively today. And then we are going to rip through a couple different topics that I think we need to hit on based on either news that's come out or some league-wide stuff that's going to matter to the Browns down the road. But, Brad, I welcome you in. I know you've been sick. You sound like you're feeling better, on the mend. Happy to hear that, buddy.
I am. Did show with Peter last night. I was feeling a little bit better, but woke up 2 days in a row. Looked like I got beat up in my sleep. Like somebody pummeled me in my sleep. Allegedly.
Yeah. Make sure he wasn't the wife.
Make sure it really didn't happen. I have to check my wife's hands. Make sure
she's got bars of soap in the pillowcase. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Gotta be careful.
No, these nasty, when the weather really turns like this, man, everyone's going to go through it. It's inevitable because, either your kiddo's bringing home or you visit some store. It's floating disease season, as we call it. So,
trying
dude.
To boycott all stores. Trying to avoid all
deliveries,
stores and people.
Pickups. Yeah, as much as you can. But then there's I've noticed the price when you go into stores is different than the apps that they have to buy things from now because they price gouge based on what your history is and the algorithm. It's all pretty gnarly the way they take advantage of consumers these days, which is a different topic and a different podcast entirely. But you should look into how big corporations take advantage of people like us, which is
it's not fair.
Pretty crummy, if we're being honest, guys. Back to the football world, because I think that's why you're here. The Browns and Bills get together this weekend, and on the did not practice side, we'll see. I mean, I don't think the Bills will come after this with you guys. I mean, listen, they're chasing the division. They have to win. But looking at what's remaining on their schedule, the Browns are by far the easiest setup left, even if you consider I don't know if the Jets remain or not, but the Browns give them a chance to slow play some of this stuff. So they are dealing with some guys of importance. Deion Dawkins, their tackle, he's got an illness, so I'm sure he will be fine ultimately. But Dalton Kincaid, who's one of their more important pass catchers, is out with a knee issue right now. They are down their kicker, Matt Prater. We'll see what they do. They'll probably call somebody out for that. And then Jordan Phillips, a defensive tackle, nice player for them, is out with an ankle too. The Brown side, Brad, I think you have that one. That's a pretty extensive list that I think is going to stay this long through the remainder of the season.
It's a massive list. So Brendan Bates, limited participant today. You want me to go through this whole thing? Let's do it. All right. Bitonio.
Yeah. Rapid fire like a auctioneer. That's the goal on this. It's so long.
Bitonio DMP, Conklin concussion DMP, Delpit limited participant with a groin. That's new. Myles Garrett non-injury related DMP, so a rest day for him. Mason Graham limited participant with a rib. Mike Hall illness DMP. Aiden Huntington quad limited. Tevin Jenkins shoulder DMP. Sam Kamara elbow limited.
Elbow.
Yeah.
David it's like when
Njoku.
Coaches say it that way. He's got an elbow. Oh, that's cool. That's good.
I got two of them.
You want mine?
Yeah. Njoku, knee, DMP. Winston Reed, back, DMP. Dylan Simpson, hand, DMP. Carson, Schwessinger, ankle, limited. Teller, which is a surprise, back and practicing limited with that calf. Denzel Ward, a DMP with a calf, but says he's going to play, potentially, with a weird quote. Deshaun Watson, Achilles, limited, and Zach Zinter, back, limited. What was the quote from Denzel?
Denzel's quote was like, are you going to play this weekend? And he had some funny quotes during the day. He talked about, like, when he first knew Myles Garrett was, like, different.
Yeah.
He's like, when I got there, I tried to, like, horseplay with him a little bit and almost got myself hurt just doing that. And he's like, I'm not going to mess with him anymore. He's like, I could just tell this guy's cut from a different cloth. It was very funny. Denzel's a delivery style that's very dry and can be pretty humorous. He was asked if he's going to play this weekend. He's like, that's the plan. You never really know where life's going to take you, but that's the plan right now. It's like, that's it's a checked out quote on that one.
Range of things going on there. Yeah.
Dylan Sampson's hand injury must have gotten pretty mangled at the end of that Titans game. Must be really bothering him. So
Stefanski talked about it, and maybe they kind of alluded to the fact that it might be broken.
Maybe he got hit between helmets or something. That can happen. Pretty gnarly. It's a bummer. He was starting to really get hot here late in the year. Excited to see him in the future. Other than that, it's a lot of, it's one of the longer lists. I don't expect that list to be any smaller, significantly smaller in the next 2 weeks. Like I said, we'll see if the weather holds. The weather dipping down below zero can make anybody all of a sudden have a hamstring injury or an elbow, right? No doubt about that.
Under contract and
especially like you said, guys not collecting the massive game checks or something like that. So, anyway, that's the list. It's going to keep growing. We'll see the humorous stuff. We'll be looking at who was out there week 18 last year and who's out there week 18 this year. That's what I'm interested in. Okay. Devin Bush, update on that one, because I do think there is a real chance the Browns are trying to work something out with him, depending on how JOK's situation's going. Obviously, all of that very hush-hush, whether they feel like it's realistic he comes back. But, Brad, I think you got an update on his legal situation. The NFL hasn't acted on that situation. They won't until it's settled, but it does sound like now it's settled, right?
It is settled. He was found not guilty by, according to Trib Live, Allegheny County Common Pleas Judge Bruce Beamer said prosecutors failed to prove Bush had intent to harm or injure the woman. The woman being his girlfriend. This stems from a May incident where he was arrested and charged in the offseason after police responded to a report of alleged assault at his home in Pittsburgh. The woman, who identified herself as Bush's girlfriend, said Bush assaulted her and took her car keys. The two got into an argument that resulted in Bush allegedly becoming more aggressive, blah, 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 blah. But needless to say, the judge said that the prosecutors failed to prove any intent to harm, which is good,
Okay.
I guess.
You know, given that situation, yeah, there is some good to that is settled in a way that won't linger around him entirely too long. So, yeah, it's
Now the
okay.
NFL can rule. They don't
They
really
will.
care. They don't really care about what the court does. They may suspend him anyway. So, but
Right.
probably less harsh than before.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He will probably get some sort of suspension maybe in the next year. I would love for them to do it in like the next 2 weeks.
That'd be great.
That'd be really good. But I don't think the NFL will act quite that hastily. All right,
No.
last thing that I want to talk about in the open today is the idea here is interesting to me that the Dolphins left Cleveland and we all thought they were dead. Like I couldn't have felt more confident a team was just dead and it was all getting blown up. It was like during
Bizarre.
that game, it was like which head coach is getting fired as a result of losing this game. Then they go out and win like 5 of the next 6. They're
Yep.
6-7. And they don't have a great game in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beats them relatively soundly, right?
Yeah.
Which is not totally unexpected. But now all of a sudden, and I know they've been winning despite Tua. He has not been lighting the scoreboard up ridiculously well. They've been running it really well. But they pull the plug. And I think you pull the plug here and you're going Quinn Ewers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brad, that's kind of it. And now you have a guy who I cannot pretend to be super well versed in his contract, but from some of the things I've seen, he's going to carry a Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson like figure if he's
90.
cut after this season. So it's going to be chunky. And it seems like teams are more willing than ever to do this. I do find myself at least eyebrow raised curious if the Browns don't make that move this offseason. I'm just saying. I know it's hard.
Move?
I know they could.
Watson?
It's gonna be really challenging. But I am just curious as like some of these teams. How much more is Watson than what it would be if they did the deal with Tua? That's
probably very similar at this point because what you're doing is breaking up like 46 over 3 years for Watson, basically, and they are gonna end up cutting up 90 into 2 years. So, pardon me, it's 46 per year for 2 years, split out into 3 years for the Browns, and it's about 90 each.
I'm curious if they're gonna is Miami just gonna cut to and be done with it this offseason? Do they feel inclined to wait another one? Yeah, right. Which is if the Browns were to do that with Watson this upcoming offseason, they would do the same thing to help themselves in some fashion. But I am just like side-eyeing
more punitive, I think, for the Browns, because. Well, I guess my question would be why at this point. I wrote an article about how you approach Watson. I don't think there's anything to be gained by him like making a push to the field. I think you would put more than anything by making an ugly situation. I know we've had this conversation before, and I know you kind of disagree with me on this, but making things uncomfortable in Cleveland. And I think if the Browns went to him ahead of time with like, here's our expectations for you. Your best path to the field is showing that you can be a veteran, good soldier quarterback, because his best chance of getting a job after Cleveland is probably as a backup. And then somebody gets hurt.
I do think that's a good point. That's a good point. I would love to know what he thinks his NFL future is at this point. You know what I mean? Right. Has there been a dose of reality? Is he still delusional that he thinks he can go start somewhere or in Cleveland next year? I am curious of that. We're on the same page from the angle of like, it's not going to help Deshaun if he is awful and trying to remove himself here. The conversation should be, is there something we can do between his camp and the Browns camp? The Browns have no intention of playing him. Whether that's they declared one of two things, Brad, that they're going to draft a guy number 1 or number 2 or 3, or they're saying we're sticking with Shedeur Sanders the rest of the run. It's very possible Deshaun could be like, that's fine. I'll be the backup. Let's keep around another year. I'll figure it out. I'll be what? I don't know how old he is off the top of my head right now. 30 right now. So maybe like 31 season, 32, he could get free and play around that age. I just think it's so much of it matters about what he thinks he is right now. Because if he thinks he's still really good and he's like, I'm not sitting out this year, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to bury me here. It's all about, to me, Brad, how he's approaching it. Because the Browns hold all the leverage to an extent here, right? They have his money that they already know they have to pay him. And it's like his leverage is to me, the only thing his leverage can do if the Browns are hell-bent on not playing him is figure out a way to get him on the open market to see if anybody does want him. So I don't know. It's a big mystery. I just found myself wondering, as the conviction was like, oh, the Dolphins are going to be done with Tua. Like this season, they're done. They're moving on. Well, that's brisk. And it's like, wouldn't Tua be an ideal backup? I don't know. I don't know. You know, that's a curiosity thing for me. And then it got me to wondering too, Brad, which is he's on the market. Kyler Murray maybe on the market. And then Daniel Jones his injury is probably, you know, I don't know about Daniel. That's tough to come back from an Achilles. So he's probably a little out of it. Maybe work something out with the Colts again, where when he comes back, he's there for them. Yeah. But Mac Jones, and then in like the refurbished former starter world, am I missing anyone that's like in that former first round setup?
Russ Wilson,
not Kenny Pickett. Yeah.
Russ Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah, those guys, Lance. I think we can agree are a tier or two below. So it comes down to like, are you interested in a reclamation project like Tua, Mac Jones on the cheaper end, and then kind of like in the Kyler Murray? The only one that interests me somewhat is Kyler. I'm not in love with Kyler Murray. I don't like him like that, but like of those three, three, he has the most talent. No doubt. You know? So if you said, Jake, you've got to pick one of those three for next year, they're going to go get a veteran to let Shedeur compete with and maybe start. We'll see. They're going to go get a meaningful vet. That's the one that would interest me more than a lot of others.
Do you think Malik Willis being a free agent will draw any eyes?
I'd be interested. I'd be interested. I mean, there's some things there that were really encouraging. I would have been, to be transparent, Brad, more interested this year, coming into this year. Yes. That's why we kind of like thought there was a potential for a trade there. Yeah. But no, I would be interested. But all of it comes down to like, are they getting to Mendoza? Are they getting to Moore? Yeah. And are they taking them?
Feels like they are getting there. It feels like they are getting there, and if they are there, they will take them.
If they win one of these next 3 games, I'm going to be so mad. I mean, I might be as mad as I was during the Bengals home opener.
It will literally blow your chance at pulling this off.
I don't care what you have to do. The next 2 weeks will take care of themselves. They're not happening. And I know Joe Burrow has talked about, he wants to win I want to play and win the last 3. The Bengals should be smart about this. They shouldn't be playing him. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be. At minimum, you shouldn't be playing him week 18. No. Right? Maybe because at that time, maybe Miles is still going after it, playing hard, doing his thing to try to maybe even extend the record to something like 24 sacks, something. But I just can't fathom them playing him. And then it's like, okay, if they play Flacco, I don't feel great, but I think he's clearly competent enough to get them over the hump. And it's like, oh, what if they send Jake Browning out there? And then like Shedeur plays the game of his life. And I just, the mandate from ownership, I don't care what you have to do. I don't care if it looks obvious. You lose the game.
You have to.
So
or else
Yeah.
you really. I mean, we've seen teams screw this up in Week 18 before, and the Browns cannot afford to do that. They just cannot.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
famous
massive
one was
difference.
obviously last year, 2 years ago. No, it was last
Well,
year
the
where the
Texans did it.
Patriots won the Joe Milton start, the last game of the year. And then
Mhm.
2 years ago before that, it was there was the year that the Texans dropped out of the first, ended up getting CJ, so it ended up
It
working
worked
out.
out.
But
Same with New England.
I don't mind the 1-2. I mind the discrepancy between, like, if the Browns win another game, they're picking like 5th, 6th, 7th.
Yes,
I don't
which is
want
a
anything to do with that. Yeah,
otherworldly difference in this draft than 1, 2, 3.
correct. So
And I believe if they lose out, they're pretty much a lock for 2. At the
yeah,
worst.
because of the head to head between the Giants and the
Yeah.
well, that's a little tricky. There's the head to head one there. You would love
They
to
have a
see
good
the
chance.
Titans win one more game, and they'll have some chances. There's a chance
Especially against the
the
Chiefs.
Chiefs, and then the Week
Yeah.
18 opponent might sit out a lot of guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you definitely at least they're at minimum going to be 3, but their highest odds are going to be 2. Is what the highest spot. Obviously 2 last year. I think it's more than a 1 quarterback class. I don't know. Just do everything they can to figure out a way to lose the rest of the way. That's the job, which is scary because of all the jobs that they've not done well in recent memory here. But that's the job.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I just think that after the last 2 seasons, just going back to this for 1 second with the Watson thing, I just think it's too. I don't think he can do enough if you make the expectations clear and that you're going to be transparent about the way he behaves in the building. He can do more damage than he can help himself by causing a scene for his future. Take your money, play the good soldier. He did it this year, right? All we've heard is positive things about his impact on the young quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
If you play that role, we'll pump you up in that light. So when you leave here, you can go be a backup because that's your best chance of getting back to the field.
Yeah, like I totally agree. It's all very logical, but
he may not.
What does his who does he think he is anymore? That's what I want to know. That's what we're gonna find out very fast because I do think if they stunned us, Brad, and they said they're cutting Deshaun Watson this offseason post June 1 designation, I think my hunch would be that he made it clear what he thinks he still is, and the Browns didn't think they could find and cultivate any healthy way around it. That's the only reason, because every logical thing says you got to wait another year. You got to wait one more year to do this in the healthiest fashion possible.
I just don't know what he could do to make it that bad.
No, he would hurt himself, but I mean, at this point, would we be surprised if he didn't care about that stuff? This just range of outcomes. That's all it is. Yeah. Just range of outcomes. I think 9 out of 10 times he's sticking around another year. Maybe he has a chance to play, maybe he doesn't, and they figure it out after the following season. But as it became very casual to talk about the money tied to Tua versus what Watson's on, it's got me thinking about, the realm of it's possible that they do it this offseason. And I know there's a lot of stuff that says no. I totally understand. Doesn't miss me. But NFL has unexpected actions every offseason. And I will be curious.
It would have to be him threatening something.
Wish they could come to some sort of financial restructure to make that more feasible. But like I said, I don't think the NFLPA wants to see that because of the rarity of the guaranteed deal he received. And also, you would think his agent would be telling him, hey, man, look, like, this is going to suck to sit here another year, but this is a part of the 230 that we got. And we knew this could happen if it all fell out. And, like, the range of outcomes and blah, blah, blah. But the only thing that could work for him to be like, hey, Deshaun Watson's having a Russell Wilson type end of his career where he goes to another place and then another place and maybe one more place, is that he does protect his reputation, do the right things, say the right things, stay in the background, stay quiet, and have your agent work relationships with the Ian Rappaport and all that. And we know Mulligataw's got all that in place to just put the positive spin on it. That's it. That's the logical thing.
I think too with the injury, that injury usually takes an extra year to really get back anyways. I know he's out there practicing, but like we always say when guys come back from that injury, it's not the year they come back, it's the year after that they look like themselves. So if you think about like that as well and what the NFL last saw of him, how bad he was, then 2 injuries between that, like I don't think like right now people are going to be like, I think you want to hang on to every dollar you have guaranteed to you.
He should. He should. He
Right.
should. But if he's an irrational person, and there's an opportunity to maybe get out of the deal by, hey, I'll waive the fine. I could. It's not the craziest thing, but we're talking about an irrational thinker simultaneously. We'll see though, Brad, soon enough. That's it for the Open today. We're going to get over to Time with Greg Thompson, who does a great job at Cover One, where we dig deep on where the Bills are, what the game shapes up like this weekend, and where they're at heading into the playoffs, where the Bills have a real chance to win a Super Bowl, at least get there. They don't have to deal with 2 of the 3 quarterbacks and possibly 3 non-Josh Allen elites in the conference are going to miss the playoffs. And that's an exciting thing for the Bills, who I always enjoy following along with because of shared, space and struggle over the years. So it's a good bit. So we enjoy time with him. Brad, appreciate you, buddy. And
always,
we will catch up with you guys on your Friday show. So until then, go Browns. All right, the Bills are coming to Cleveland, a game that means a lot more to Buffalo than it does Cleveland. And I'm happy to be joined by Greg Thompson, who does a great job at Cover One. I was on his show. He's come to return the favor. Greg, I know you're out of your comfort zone a little bit traveling, so we appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, of course. Browns are near and dear to my heart. I'm married to a passionate Browns fan. My father-in-law, and I went to college at Baldwin Wallace there in the Cleveland area, and a lot of my adult friends are there. So Browns fans are near and dear to my heart. My second favorite team, but unfortunately have to do battle this week.
We do. I don't know how much of a battle it'll be. I want you to, if you can, kind of walk us through. It feels like the Bills have had some highs and lows this season. Just kind of give us a state of where they're at, how they're, I think, 10-4 now, how they've gotten to this point, and how the vibe is around going toward the playoff push.
Well, the good news is the Bills are capable of beating any team in the NFL. They beat Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, some dominant, incredible wins. We're also capable of losing to any team in the NFL. We lost to Davis Mills. We lost to Michael Penix Jr. We lost to Tua Tagovailoa. It has been oddly at a high level, not that different than the previous 5 seasons since 2020, since the big shift with Josh Allen and the overall results of the Bills. Obviously 5 straight division championships and double digit 12 plus wins in most of the seasons. The overall numbers will tell you it's similar to those years. It hasn't felt similar. It's been more inconsistent. Each of those seasons has had moments where, if we look back and are honest with ourselves, there were some difficult stretches, some trading wins, loss, win, loss, win, loss, some ugly games. So I think it's hard not to be a prisoner of the moment of how it feels when we're there. But there's been some wacky comebacks this year. 3 fourth quarter comebacks of 10 plus points. Obviously, most recently here, 21-0 to the Patriots last week. Down 10 with 7 minutes to go. The Bengals down 15 with 4 minutes to go against the Ravens. Like, some of those are just really, really tough to replicate. So it's a flawed team. It is certainly not the juggernaut that they've been in some years past, but fortunately, the entire AFC is flawed teams at the top. There's no dominant great team. So as you said on many occasions, punch your ticket, get in there. We got a dog at quarterback. We'll take our chances.
Yeah, that's got to be the difference in you, because you lived on the other side of that. So how many years does it take? And I know Josh wasn't an immediate home run, took a couple years, but how long does it take before you're like, we can win any game because we have this guy and we expect to win every game and it's never over till it's over? Like, describe for Browns fans how cool that is. That's such a stupid question, but it's also a really fun one because we haven't lived in that world of like you're watching Sunday football, you're down 15 with 4 minutes left, but you kind of still always have a chance. And you know what I mean? It has to feel. Do you even remember the pre Josh Allen vibe? Like when you thought that there was no chance, like that's where I wonder when it gets to the point. And I know you haven't won the Super Bowl, and maybe the Super Bowl win does wash some of that away, but like you're on an extended run of great Josh play. And it's like, how long does it take to wash the worst thing's going to happen away?
So obviously we have a lot of similar terms that you guys use, very Billsy wins, the same thing, very Brownsy games. And they're like, oh, that's a very Bills thing to do. And obviously 17-year playoff drought, like we know what it's like with the Browns.
Yeah.
Like there was maybe some depths. We would linger in mediocrity more than the very bottom of the draft
Yeah.
as much there. But 17 years without the playoffs, the longest playoff drought in professional sports and in any league. We know what that's like to just wait for the inevitable to come. Obviously, you guys have some really strong rivalries in the division, but that stretch was during the height of Tom Brady's, historic run, and just the amount of times that we were on the other end of that playing better than them, like playing better than them in those games, and they're like, "Hey, this is going to be the one. We're going to get him this time." And he would pull out a win they didn't deserve in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter because he would just put together those drives when it's there. And now, again, we have not won the Super Bowl. We have not achieved the ultimate goals in there. So I'm not going to pretend like we're that level of team.
Right.
But what I will say is Josh Allen is the most fun player to root for in the NFL. Like it's his brand and style, all the reckless nature at which he plays. My neighbor across the street is a 12-year-old who has just naturally adopted the Bills as his favorite team because Josh Allen is so fun. That
Yeah.
has never happened in my life. I have lived a lot of places. I've moved around a lot for work. I have never found an organic Bills fan who wasn't like, "Oh yeah, my dad's from Buffalo, my uncle's from Buffalo, we grew up in Buffalo and moved here." I've never seen someone just choose to be a Bills fan
Yeah.
because of how fun the team is. And Josh Allen has done that, and that is the greatest compliment, is that people that want to root for my team because my quarterback is so fun to watch.
It's cool, man. It's cool. And it just is like, again, such a hard thing of scar tissue of years to wipe away of the Bills loss is going to happen. The Browns style of loss is going to happen. And it just eventually you get a guy who's so good and so consistently good at it that you overwrite those memories over time. It's cool watching that happen in real time for the Bills. So I don't need to spend time on Josh. I think we all know he's really at the peak of his powers and he's still doing, in my opinion, he's the best quarterback in football right now because of the dual threat stuff, but because of I think I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, Greg, but it feels like he is at times overcoming some things around him from a weapon standpoint. Now, obviously, James Cook can play, but what the question is like, if the Bills don't figure this out this year, it feels like figuring out weapons for Josh has just been since Stephon left a bit of a mystifying issue where it's like Kincaid maybe isn't quite what you hoped he would be, and then Keon Coleman. So fill us in on how the wide receiver tight ends are kind of going to help, and maybe they're playing better. I don't know. Again, I'm not as dialed in.
So I do think that some of it's Josh Allen having to be Superman or Josh and a bunch of bums gets a little oversold.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Cromer is, I think now without Bill Callahan in the league, at least in the AFC, without the non-Jeff Stoutland division, like Aaron Cromer is the best offensive line coach in the AFC, and
Yeah.
he has put together an elite group with no first-round picks. There's no elite talents on this offensive line. They play great together and are just road grading their way. And then Josh absolves any offensive line of a lot of sins. If you allow pressure, he escapes and is the hardest quarterback to sack in the league.
Yeah.
So I think that gets lost, that the offensive line is really, really genuinely top 5 in the league. James Cook went from a guy that I thought was benefiting from that and just taking advantage of those things to now genuinely making a net positive impact on top of the nice spots that are there. His vision to find these cutback lanes in the the way I talk about it like a snake, like he slithers through the hole,
Yeah.
like the way he's able to maneuver and move, make his body hard to get a clean hit on, keep contact balance, but not in a, he's not a Maurice Jones-Drew in that way. He's not keeping contact balance because he's bouncing off like a pinball. So you just don't get a clean hit on him, and he's able to keep moving forward. And the way that he hits his top speed, he's increased his acceleration, his ability to hit that top gear much earlier than when he was coming out of Georgia. He's truly become a pretty special back here, and looks, I mean, has a pretty decent chance to lead the NFL in rushing here with the way the Colts are trending. So I think all of that gets lost in that it turns into no one is all by themselves if you have an elite offensive line and the guy who's going to
Yeah,
lead
right.
the NFL in rushing. So I think now, with that said, the receiving weapons as a whole are at being kind to subpar, and I think you can make a pretty decent argument that beyond maybe Tennessee or a handful of other spots, there's not a lot of other combined groups that you would take over the Bills. The Browns aren't in some
We
amazing
would challenge you
position,
on
but
that one.
I don't know. I don't know that it's a slam dunk that you would trade our receiving groups. Probably both of us would consider it. Both of us would kick
I
around
think
the
that's
other
fair.
groups and be like,
That's fair.
maybe.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of receiving group of what we have going here. I think that Kincaid, when healthy, is very, very good. Not the elite first round guy that maybe we thought we were going to get, but very, very good. Khalil Shakur is a great slot receiver, who maybe plus like which should be any team's like a great passing offense's third option. He ends up being kind of our number one option, and then a bunch of other pieces and parts. Dawson Knox is
Yeah.
a really good tight end. Like I think he'd be, you know, he's more of a traditional tight end than maybe Njoku or Fannin, but is nowhere near the receiver that they are. Jackson Hawes is an amazing blocker and doesn't drop the ball if you throw it to him.
Mhm.
Our backs are solid out of the backfield. I don't know that we have an awesome receiving back. Ty Johnson's probably our best receiving back, and he's really good. I don't know that he's elite. And then obviously we've had the ups and downs of Keon Coleman. We've taken cups of coffee. We have Gabe Davis back for another round. We now apparently have Brandon Cooks on our team. We've tried Elijah Moore. We tried Miko Hardman. We've tried Curtis Samuel. Like, we've taken stabs at anybody and just haven't gotten an awful lot to stick. There's been moments. But again, when you have Josh Allen, anything's possible.
It's possible. There you go. Okay. Good stuff on the offense. Defense is, outside looking in. It feels like they are figuring some things out late in the season here. But like you mentioned on your show, run defense still a mystifying issue. And then I could be wrong on this, Greg, but they're without Ed Oliver still out. Is he out for the entire season? Is there a chance he comes back? What's that look like?
So he's already doing push-ups. He had a bicep injury. So he's they're arguing about if it's the wild card weekend or later into the playoffs. But he does look to be back as long as they get to the playoffs and play more than one game.
Okay.
But I think it's in play that he's saying he's going to come back for week 18. I think that's ambitious. But yes, it does sound like he's going to return. Christian Benford didn't play this last week. It seemed kind of precautionary. Terrell Bernard, who's our defensive captain, has been off and on, missed a couple games in a row. Michael Hoyt, who is a player we were excited about, has played 2 games and then is back out for the torn Achilles. Just a rough season. How Taylor Rapp started out the year and then is gone for the year. Just a really rough season health-wise on defense to a team that if all those guys were healthy, we probably would have been pretty good. Like, not elite. Like, if all those guys were healthy, we would have been pretty good. And when you're pretty good on defense with Josh Allen, that's enough. Now you take all those guys off. We've had some ugly moments, some horrific moments. Stretches of the worst run defense in the league. The part that's frustrating is we've also had some exceptional halftime adjustments because all those comebacks that I mentioned earlier don't happen if you're not stopping the other team from scoring. So this second half, the same team that gave up the 21-0 lead to the Patriots gave up 3 first downs the entire second half. And really lock down into what they're doing. I wish our ability to adjust mid-game was closer to, translated to anticipating game plans a little bit better. But they figured out ways to at least stop the bleeding during these games. If we could stop digging holes quite so deep, maybe we'll get a little something going.
Talk to me real quick on the back end here about first round, or sorry, the 25 draft guys. So Maxwell Hairston, I think TJ Sanders you took in the second round. Deion Walker feels like the one who maybe is immediately impacting for you guys. So how's that class look? I would say, and you know this as well, I'm just kind of leading you into the point here is to keep this moving well, you have to draft well. And how has that gone recently for them?
So, as is always the case, Brandon Beane's better at finding day 3 gems than he is on hitting his early picks because,
Mm,
Jordan Hancock has been a nice piece for the Buckeyes fans there. He's been a
yeah,
nice versatile piece playing some nickel and some safety and some dime linebacker spots. Jackson Hawes has been a revelation as a blocking tight end, just been like a extra offensive lineman who's eligible every play. And Dean Walker has easily been the best pick of the draft so far. Obviously, a guy that you were familiar with his
yeah,
freshman and sophomore years at Kentucky, looked like a top 10 pick, then had a really lackluster junior year. It came out later that he was playing with a stress fracture in his back and that he became aware of it, wanted to continue to play through it, but he doesn't look like the best athlete. He doesn't look svelte or well built. So it's easy to assume, like, yeah, that's an excuse. And he didn't, that was probably just him trying to cover for not being as dedicated, not being as working as hard.
hmm,
Well, he's been unbelievable. So some of the things that we thought we were getting, like a Jordan Phillips 2.0, a guy who looks like a one tech, plays like a three tech,
yeah,
penetrates, makes a big mess of things, but also gets washed out and doesn't ever hold at the point of attack, is just a flash kind of player. He's taken on double teams. He's holding at the point of attack. He's doing those things, and we're getting the flash plays and the other pieces that are there. So
that's great. And the
maybe hit
Browns
on
liked him a
something
lot.
there.
They were, if they didn't, I don't think they were going to get too crazy, but if they didn't take Mason Graham or that trade didn't come together, they spent a lot of time with him. I do think they would have been maybe interested in that late third range if they didn't
Yeah.
go DT early. But yeah, it's a fun player. So Harrison struggled. Like, what's the look of that first and second round guys?
So looked good early, then got hurt in camp. Like, was looking the
That's
elite
right.
athlete running around. Obviously, it's easy to look good in camp when you're fast. But then hurt his knee sprain. So
Yeah.
nothing too serious, but missed the rest of camp and missed the first 4 weeks of the season. So now you're
Okay.
talking coming in as a rookie, hasn't really had a chance. They try to ease him back in. He's been in a rotation with Trey White, who has been actually looking back closer to a startable level player. Christian Benford's obviously been our best corner opposite them, and everyone has assumed that, oh, this is just a platoon to get Max up to speed.
Mhm.
But Trey's continued to play really well. This past game might have been his best game of the season. Without Benford, he played exceptional against the Patriots. So Harrison's been solid. You can see the elite athleticism. You can actually see the catch up speed, but still not quite being able to get his head back and get in position to make a play on the ball. But it's nice that he's getting himself his footwork and his speed's getting him in position to do it. We just haven't seen it put together yet. So I don't think he's been like an issue or people are worried about being a bust. He's had nice moments, but he certainly hasn't put it together yet and is still developing. And I think is really still suffering from missing that full training camp. TJ Sanders, every time he starts to get things put together, he gets hurt again. So has not been able to stay healthy. We've missed loot. We had so many Landon Jackson and Michael Hoy, and we've had so many defensive ends get hurt that we've had to play him on edge, and he's not an edge player. We just need someone to play some snaps there.
Yeah.
So we're playing him out of position. He needs to be Ed Oliver's backup as a penetrating three tech. And we just have the luxury of having him and Larry Ogunjobi. So we're playing Ogunjobi at that spot and then having him moonlight as a defensive end, and he's not. So I don't
Yeah.
think we're getting a clean read on what he's going to be in the future, but he's playing and I think we'll find out more of that.
Yeah, this is interesting. The final stretch here, real quick on the way out, because Browns fans know what their future is the next 3 games. But what has to happen for you guys to get and kind of come back and win this division?
So the division, it basically comes down to, sadly, because we shot ourselves in the foot with that loss to Miami, we
Yeah,
need the Patriots to lose a division game. We need them to lose either Miami or the Jets, which
yeah,
obviously I'm not going to be crazy that the Jets can win.
yeah,
Miami's had enough moments that I think there's at least a non-zero chance that they could get something going in the run game. I think it's pretty unlikely either of them happen. Even if they lose to Baltimore, they still need to lose one of those other games for it to matter. So I think it's most likely that we're going to have things relatively locked up as, hey, you're the 5 seed and week 18 will be our pseudo bye, and we
Yeah.
won't really play much against the Jets. That's my guess of what we see.
Gotcha. Yeah, man, it's interesting. What the Patriots have put out and kind of that comeback and where it put you guys. So I was curious about that. All right, well,
Yeah,
we
and
will
it's
see. Go
non-zero
ahead.
chance.
Yeah, non-zero
Non-zero.
chance. It's. I think Miami continuing to play Tua, as they got a little aggressive. Josh McDaniels did on maybe not playing him. That probably determined some things. No offense to. I think it's still Skylar Thompson is the backup there, but yeah, we'll see, man. Soon enough. We're pulling for you guys. Obviously, hopefully, everybody just stays healthy this weekend, and can be an enjoyable game. Maybe the Browns keep it close for a while. We'll see. And like I said, if Josh Allen wants to, drift to the right side a couple times, allow Miles to make a couple sacks, we wouldn't be
As long
mad
as
at him
Miles
for
is
that.
gentle about it, we're huge Myles Garrett fans. Wouldn't mind seeing him break the record here this weekend. Just be gentle. Be gentle. We have bigger plans for Josh later on.
We can work out an agreement there. No problem. All right, great stuff, man. Tell people where they can find you on the way out the door.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Come on over. Browns Film Breakdown is fantastic. Very, very similar to what we do with Bills fans over at Cover One. Coming over anywhere that you're watching this, you can find Cover One, myself, on the Cover One Bills and all the other shows we have going on. All kinds of great breakdowns and detailed analysis, plus fun stuff for fantasy and draft season as well. So when you're done with this, come on over. If you know somebody who's a Bills fan in your life, make sure you tell them to check out Cover One.
Couldn't from the outside looking at other teams in the AFC and all that stuff, couldn't recommend Cover One more. They do a great job and a real collection of great talent over there. The team, pods, film rooms that Eric has set up there, he's done a great job, and Greg's a great focal point of it. So on the way out the door, Greg, just a reminder, buddy, we appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, everybody.